Hey guys, tonight we're going somewhere your nightmares wouldn't even dare to tread. Imagine the sway of the sea beneath your feet, the creak of damp wood around you, and the unmistakable smell of old fish mixed with feet in despair. Yeah, you're not on a luxury cruise. You're waking up aboard a 17th century pirate ship, and buddy, you've made some very poor life choices. The sails flap like ghosts above you. The sky's just starting to lighten with a smear of gray-pink dawn, and the air is damp enough to chew. Something nearby drips with a noise that would be relaxing if it didn't sound so much like blood. Your head throbs like you drank cheap rum all night, because you probably did, but there's no time to wallow. You try to sit up. Your back complains. The rope netting of your hammock has left deep lines in your skin, and your shirt's stuck. To your side, with what you hope is just sweat. Above you, a heavy boot slams the deck. Get up, you lazy dog, someone barks. Not a metaphor. He's holding an actual dog, and it looks just as mean as he does. You groan. That's when it hits. Your mouth tastes like moldy pennies and your teeth ache. You're on a pirate ship. Not the fun kind with Johnny Depp and banter. The real kind, where you're either useful or dead. Maybe both. As you stagger upright, the deck rocks beneath you. The sea is a deep blue bruise stretching forever. The sails above are patchworked and heavy with salt. A tangle of ropes dangles from the masts like the world's angriest spaghetti. A man coughs behind you. It sounds wet, like something inside him gave up. You glance around. The crew doesn't smile. They squint. Some are barefoot. Some are shirtless. All look like they've made peace with dying, and now it's just a matter of scheduling. The ship's name? You heard someone mutter it last night, the Black Mercy. Because apparently the boring Dolphin was taken. Your first job is simple. Scrub the deck. With what? A rock and seawater. No soap, no gloves. Just your hands and a brush worn down like the last nerve of a single mom in a minivan. You start scrubbing, and instantly get a splash of something in your eye. You're afraid to ask what the smell. It's an unholy blend of bilge water, old meat, and something else. Something sweet and sour. You breathe through your mouth, but it just tastes worse. Don't fall overboard, a man croaks behind. They won't stop for you. He's missing 2 fingers and part of an ear. You believe him. Somewhere above, the lookout yawns and spits. A gull screams like it's seen things. Below deck, someone starts playing a fiddle off-key. Morale is a suggestion. And now the cook's yelling. Breakfast is ready. You look up, hopeful. Maybe there's something decent today. Maybe nope. It's a slab of biscuit so hard you could tile a roof with it. You bite it anyway. Crack. Was that the biscuit or your molar? Hard to tell. Next to you, a crewmate, maybe named Lurch, laughs. Hardtack lad. Keeps you chewing long enough to forget how miserable you are. He's missing several teeth. You're starting to understand why. One of the crew wipes his knife on his pants and gestures toward a small wooden box. Saw a rat in the grain again, he says casually. Might be protein in today's stew. He laughs. You try not to cry. A wave hits the side of the ship and soaks your legs. It's freezing. Salt stings your raw fingers. Your shoulders ache from scrubbing, but if you stop, someone with a whip might appear, and not in a fun way. You hear someone talking about Nassau. Maybe you're headed there, maybe not. No one seems entirely sure. Even the captain looks like he's playing pirate more than leading one. His coat's too big. His eyes too small. Someone passes you a mug. You sniff it. Rum. For breakfast. Of course, because hydration is a myth. Suddenly a shout rings out. Sail ho. Everyone rushes to the rail. You follow, trying to look useful. In the distance, a speck of white. Another ship. Maybe it's friendly. Maybe it's not. Either way, you're not ready. You're still figuring out which end of the cannon to avoid. And that's when it really hits you. This isn't a dream. This isn't a theme park. This is life now. Salt, sweat, violence, and maybe if you're lucky, a gold coin tossed in your lap one drunken night. You lean against the rail, staring out at the endless ocean. The wind slaps your hair. The sea murmurs like it's laughing at you. And somehow, despite everything, the rats, the rot, the terrifyingly casual violence, you realize something else. You're not getting off this ship anytime soon. Sleep tight. Sailor, you've got 14 more days to survive. You're not even fully awake when the next horror arrives. Breakfast, Part 2. Not the kind with eggs or toast. No, this is something gray, glistening, and definitely moving. The cook slaps a ladleful onto a plank in front of you with a grunt. Soup, he says. You suspect he's lying. You poke it. It jiggles. There's a maggot. Still alive. He's thriving, honestly. Probably has better job security than you do. The meal situation is aggressive. You've been here barely a day. But already you understand. Food isn't about taste, it's about surviving one more sunrise. They call it grub, which is cute, considering actual grubs may be involved. That biscuit you cracked your molar on yesterday, it's called hardtack. It's been baked, then dried in the sun until it could break a window. Some of it's got little black holes in it. Weevils, they whisper, like it's a dirty word. You eat around the bugs, but most of the crew doesn't bother. Extra crunch, they say. You want to vomit. By lunch, you realize hydration isn't much better. There's water in a barrel, dark, smells like it died in there. You take a sip. It's warm, metallic, and something slides across your tongue. You immediately miss tap water, or even hose water. Anything, really. Sometimes you get ale. Or rum. Never enough to get happy, just enough to feel slightly dizzy while the ship lurches. And your stomach gurgles like a cursed cauldron. That one-eyed guy with the limp hobs tells you the rum is to keep the scurvy away. You're not sure he's joking. Speaking of scurvy, your gums itch. Already, you try not to panic. A guy lost all his teeth last week. He just spat them overboard like sunflower seeds. Dinner is stew. Or what passes for stew. It's grayish-brown with floaty bits. You ask someone what it is. Don't, they say, chewing. It's better when you pretend it's rabbit. It is definitely not rabbit. Here's the thing no one tells you about pirate food. It's slow, delicious torture. No instant death. Just your body crumbling from inside out while your belly begs for anything fresh: an apple, a leaf, heck, a dandelion. You dream of spinach. Spinach, of all things. You see a kid barely 16 puking over the side after dinner. His name's Tom. He's been on the ship for 2 weeks. His eyes are sunken. His nails are blue. You hand him your water ration. He looks at you like you gave him a kingdom. The cook, old Fenwick, has a face like burnt leather and one long thumbnail he uses to clean his teeth. Eat fast, he tells you, before it gets ideas. It's unclear whether he means the stew or the crew. The truth is, the food isn't about keeping you alive. It's about keeping you moving. Sluggish, half sick, but moving. Enough energy to pull a rope or swing a blade. Not enough to rebel. Some nights when it's quiet, someone talks about ships from Spain or France that eat like kings. Fresh bread, real meat, wine, they whisper. You can almost taste it. Then someone mutters, "That's how you get soft." And dead. You glance at the horizon, still no land. Just sea like a blue punishment. You swear it's laughing at you again. And here's a fun fact. There are no forks. Just fingers, knives, and whatever wood scrap you can whittle into a makeshift spoon. You watch one man eat stew with a seashell. You try not to be impressed. Once, someone tried to steal from the food stores. They tied him to the mast and smeared honey on him. Let the flies do the rest. You wonder if it was worth it. Probably was. At this point, you'd kill for a soggy French fry. A gas station sandwich. That weird leftover from the back of your fridge. Just when you think you've hit rock bottom, you find out about the salt pork. It's your protein source, supposedly, but it's so cured, it squeaks when you bite it. The fat's gone rancid, the meat's tough as leather. You chew and chew and chew, and swallow something you hope wasn't bone. Someone behind you says, "They used to serve this to prisoners." Another replies, "Lucky prisoners." And that's when the captain appears. Tall, cold-eyed, with a ring on every finger and a scar that crosses both lips. He surveys the crew. "Eat well, lads," he says, voice like a rusted knife. "Tomorrow, we chase a merchant ship." The crew cheers. You try to join in. But all you can think about is whether that merchant ship might have oranges, or bread, or just something that doesn't twitch when you spoon it. Oh, and one more thing. The ship's cat, Barnabas, he only eats rat meat. Fresh rat meat, cooked, with spices. The cat eats better than you. And the worst part? You're starting to understand. Why? By the time the third day creaks into existence, you're beginning to realize something profoundly bleak. The crew is entirely, unapologetically insane. Not insane like, silly all pirates. No, this is more dangerously unwashed. Fraternity house meets prison yard kind of energy. Every man here is broken in some way. And if he's not broken yet, give it time. Take Red Ned, for instance. He talks to a coconut. Swears it gives advice. Probably better advice than the quartermaster who once tried to navigate using only the stars. And was looking at seagulls. You notice something odd. No one smiles here. Not really. Oh, they grin, sure. But it's a mouthful of broken yellow stubs. The kind of smile that says, "I'm 2 days from stabbing someone and I don't even care who." It's the smile of a man who's been drunk since last Tuesday and hasn't stopped to check if it's still the same month. Speaking of which, everyone is always drinking. You don't know where the rum comes from, and honestly, you're afraid to ask. Probably the same place they get the gunpowder and syphilis. The average pirate diet, you've learned, consists of equal parts salt, booze, and trauma. You catch one guy Wilkes biting into a raw onion like it's an apple. You're impressed until he offers you half with a wink and no teeth. You politely decline. At midday, the sun is a sledgehammer. No clouds. The deck turns into a frying pan, and your bare feet sizzle if you're too slow. That's when they bring out the drums. Yes, drums. You didn't know pirates had musical inclinations, but apparently when the heat hits just right and the rum flows, they bang out rhythms on overturned barrels and scream sea shanties that mostly involve whales doing questionable things to mermaids. Someone dances. It's part jig, part seizure. Someone else strips down and tries to wrestle the ship's goat. You sit quietly, sipping the last of your water ration, wondering if anyone here even remembers their real name. That's when you meet Crow. Crow's the ship's storyteller, if you can call it that. He's missing both thumbs and half a nose, but he's got the memory of a haunted library. He sits cross-legged by the mast, telling tales about Blackbeard, Calico Jack, and Anne Bonny, though he insists Anne once kissed him, which no one believes. Annie'd cut your throat for she kissed it. Someone jeers. Crow shrugs. Worth it. That night, you're sitting with a few of the men, chewing a piece of hardtack so stale it might predate Jesus, when they start talking teeth. More specifically, missing teeth. Turns out, no toothbrushes here, no floss, no dentist. Dental care consists of ignoring the pain until a friend yanks it out with a knife and a prayer. You hear about Black Tom, who once lost 8 teeth in one go after biting into a special biscuit. No one knows what was in it. Possibly metal. Possibly revenge. You laugh softly, not because it's funny, but because it's absurd. You glance around. Every man here has some piece missing. A finger, an ear, a tooth, a toe. They laugh through it, or drink through it. Or both. Someone passes you a bottle. You hesitate. Then drink. It burns like regret. But it dulls the smell of sweat, sea, and shame. Later that evening, you overhear an argument about the best method to survive a sword wound. One insists packing it with powder and lighting it cauterizes the evil. Another suggests spitting in it and praying. Medical science is flexible. You hear one guy mention pirates in the East Indies who drink snake blood before battle. Another swears the French smear pig fat on their weapons so wounds won't heal. History books argue whether that's true. Someone mutters, scratching his belly. But I say if it sounds nasty, someone's probably done it. You make a note to never get stabbed, or bitten or anything. A sudden crash, two men wrestling over dice. One screams that the other cheated. A fist flies. A knife appears. And then someone breaks it up with a belch and a threat of flogging. Just another Tuesday. And somewhere in the dark, the goat laughs. Yes, the goat laughs. You're too tired to care. Stumble to your hammock, which now smells like feet and cheese. Your spine protests, but exhaustion wins. As you close your eyes, someone nearby starts snoring like a drowning walrus. Another hums a lullaby in Spanish. A third man mutters to himself in Latin, probably cursing you. You lie there, wondering what fresh insanity tomorrow will bring. Try to count the stars, but the sky's gone cloudy. So instead, you count missing teeth. You stop at 30-7. And sleep finally, blessedly takes you. You wake up to the distinct feeling that something is watching you. Not someone, something. You blink through the morning fog in your brain and realize, yep, it's the ship's goat again, staring at you from 3 feet away. No expression. Just chewing something that might have once been cloth. Yours, maybe. You sigh, sit up, and instantly regret it. Your back cracks like a musket shot. Your clothes, still the same ones you boarded in now, have the texture of salted leather. Everything clings, pinches, or stinks. Usually all three. And the smell? That's not the goat. That's you. You haven't bathed in days. No one has. Because bathing isn't really a thing here. Fresh water is for drinking barely. Salt water is technically available, but you quickly learned why pirates don't use it. It leaves your skin crusted, your hair like straw, and your more delicate regions feeling like they've been rubbed with chili powder. So you stink. Everyone stinks. But you're starting to recognize people by their personal brand of stink, like a sweaty, nautical perfume. Red Ned smells like fermented onions and rum. Hobbs smells like wet rope and broken promises. You're developing a bouquet of mildew and desperation. Personal hygiene. As a concept, walked the plank a long time ago. You scratch your scalp. Bad idea. There's movement? Fleas? Lice? Probably both. You make eye contact with a crewmate and subtly mouth, "Do I have lice?" He shrugs, scratches his armpit with a knife, and walks away. Helpful. Someone once mentioned bathing with vinegar to kill the bugs. Someone else mentioned fire. You're honestly considering both. Below deck, it's worse. The air is thick like breathing soup. The walls sweat. The crew sweats. Everything smells damp, decaying, and vaguely fishy. And yes, you're below the part of the ship that already reeks of Belgian man-soup. You pass by the latrine, which is really just a hole in a plank over the sea. Privacy doesn't exist. Neither does dignity. Some guy named Fletch is plucking his beard with a fishbone. Why? He says it's spiritual maintenance. You move along before he offers to do yours. Back on deck, you squint into the sun and catch sight of someone scrubbing their shirt on the railing. It's a rare moment. He's using seawater and some kind of sand. When he wrings the shirt out, it drips black. You glance down at your own shirt. The colors, hard to define now. Some shade between sorrow and infection. You make a mental note to give it a proper burial at sea. You think about laundry, actual laundry. The smell of detergent, the feel of clean cotton, tears prick your eyes. You blink them away and blame it on the sun. Suddenly, someone lets out a joyful cry. Rain! You look up. Just a few drops, barely. Enough to dampen your face, but the crew reacts like it's Christmas. Shirts come off, faces turn upward, mouths open. Even the captain steps out of his quarters and raises one gloved hand to catch the rain. It's the first bath you've had since this cursed voyage began. You feel reborn for about 7 seconds then. The sun returns, baking the moisture into a new layer of salt crust on your skin. Congratulations. You're now a human salt lick. One man uses the moment to scrape under his toenails with a spoon. Another sniffs his armpit and says, "Not bad, could be worse." You wonder what worse even smells like. Then you remember the goat. Never mind. And then, Crow the ship's storyteller pipes up again. He's perched in the shade, drinking from a bottle with a worm in it. Could be tequila. Could be seawater and wishful thinking. Back in '84, he says, a whole crew went mad from the lice. Shaved their heads and lit the scraps on fire. Cooked a rat in the flames, called it victory stew. Someone groans. Someone else claps, you laugh. A little too hard. Here's the thing, the pirates don't just tolerate the filth. They've made it into an art form. They boast about it. Haven't bathed in a year. I once licked a seagull and lived. My feet could kill a priest. It's like a contest to see who can be the most unbothered by their own decay. And somewhere in the middle of all this, you realize you're changing too. You stop flinching when someone coughs without covering. You stop caring when someone wipes their nose on your sleeve. You start scratching without shame. You're becoming one of them, and that might be the scariest part of all. Because historians still debate whether pirate ships were truly lawless, or just incredibly efficient at surviving in the most disgusting conditions imaginable. But what they all agree on, nobody smelled good. Ever. As the sun sets and the breeze kicks up again, you catch your own scent in the wind. You grimace. And then, you shrug. You've smelled worse. The fifth morning greets you with a fistful of damp air and a screaming seagull. Not a poetic kind of scream either. More like someone stepped on it. Or maybe it's just reacting to the smell wafting up from the lower decks. Same as you, your hammock has developed a personality. It creaks when you move and sighs when you sit. You think it may be judging you. You also think you're hallucinating from the mold blooming in your blanket. Possibly both. Today's job? Bilge duty. Now, in case you've never had the pleasure. The bilge is the lowest part of the ship. It's where water, slime, blood, rat remains, and forgotten sins collect. It smells like every armpit in history got together and had a sweaty reunion. It sloshes gently with every sway of the ship. You know, like a spa. If the spa were in hell, you descend the steps into the darkness, each one groaning under your weight. The air down here is thick, so thick, you could probably bite it if your stomach weren't already staging a protest. Your task is simple. Use a bucket to scoop out the water, pour it into another bucket, and haul that bucket up to dump overboard. Over and over. While your shoes, you're lucky to have shoes, slowly rot off your feet, you pause. Something swims past your ankle, not fast, but determined. You don't ask questions. You scoop. The crew says bilge duty is for the fresh meat. You're starting to understand why. They want to see if you break, if you cry, if you quit. But mostly, they want someone else to deal with the smell. You gag twice. On the third time, you succeed. Later, you ask if there's ever been a body found in the bilge. A man with a voice like gravel says, "Once, but it was only half a body." Then he goes back to eating stew. Comforting. When you finally stagger back above deck, sun stabbing your eyes, someone pats your back and hands you a mug of ... something. You drink it without thinking. It tastes like old rope, but it burns the nausea away. Or maybe it just kills your sense of taste entirely. You collapse onto a coil of rope. A crewmate, no shirt, no shoes. No Shane flops down beside you and starts picking at a scar on his leg. Ship's a coffin, he says casually. Floating box for souls too stubborn to die on land. You laugh. Then you realize he's serious. He taps his temple. Dream of land too long, you'll start hearing it. Ocean hates that. Wants you faithful. You nod slowly, because you don't know what else to do. Then you start counting the rats. There are many. You see one dragging a piece of biscuit. It looks healthier than most of the crew. One of the older sailors, Toothless George, claims the rats are a good sign. Means there's food to be had. You wonder if he means the food you have or the food you are. The ship rolls and creaks, every sound echoing like it's happening inside your ribs. You try to nap, you fail. Every time you close your eyes, something scurries too close to your face. Later, during supper, which is more of a group chewing session, you hear the story of the silent deckhand. Supposedly, years ago, a stowaway hid in the bilge for 3 days. Came out blind, babbling, and with black slime leaking from his nose. They kept him on anyway, because he could tie knots in his sleep. He eventually walked off the side of the ship mid-song. No one stopped him. And the weirdest part? Some say he still knocks on the hull during storms. The others laugh. You don't. You think of the thing that brushed your ankle this morning. You think of how the bilge water seemed to breathe. You decide not to mention it. Above you, the sky darkens, storm's coming. You can smell it in the air like wet copper and regret. The captain appears. His coat flaps dramatically, as usual. He scans the horizon with narrowed eyes. Tie it all down, he growls. Gonna be a rough one. You're handed rope and shouted instructions. You nod. You pretend you know what they mean. You don single quotes. The wind rises. The crew moves fast, but not frantically. Like they've done this 1,000 times. They probably have. Then the first wave hits, and suddenly, you understand what they mean when they say the ship is your coffin. Because for the next few hours, maybe days, you're going to be trapped in a wooden box, bobbing across the belly of a furious god. And the only thing keeping you alive is splinters and stubbornness that you hold onto the rigging as thunder growls across the sky. You feel it in your teeth, and you swear. Hear something knock below deck. Just once. Knock. Like a ghost, still waiting for dinner. By the time the storm limps away like a wounded beast, the ship is a mess of ropes, water, and men sprawled like broken toys. You don't know what day it is anymore. You don't care. You just want to lie still and not puke. But the ocean doesn't. Do sympathy, and the pirates? Even less. Your head's still spinning when someone drags you by the collar toward the center of the deck. We've got a bleeder. They shout. You stumble after them, blinking through rain and salt. Then you see him, a young sailor, maybe 17, crumpled near a cannon. His leg is a horror show. Torn open at the thigh, flesh glistening like uncooked pork. A thick piece of wood juts from the wound like a flag of doom. Storm through the cannon, someone mutters. Didn't lash it tight. You're too stunned to speak. The boy's name might be Eli, or maybe Tom. He's pale, shivering, eyes wide and locked on the sky as if begging it to swallow him. His mouth moves, but no sound comes out. Then comes him, the ship's surgeon. You were told about him, vaguely. But you weren't prepared. Surgeon Merton looks like he was stitched together by someone drunk and in a hurry. One eye bulges slightly. His coat's stained with things you don't want identified. He smells like vinegar and death. Hold him. Down, he says, pulling out a saw. You laugh. No one else does. They grab the boy. He screams, loud, ragged, a sound that slices into your brain like glass. A rag is shoved into his mouth, but it barely muffles the panic. His hands claw at the air. Then Merton kneels, mutters something, maybe a prayer, maybe a recipe, and sets to work. No morphine, no anesthesia. Just rum, pressure, and very questionable hygiene. The saw begins to grind. The sound gods help you. The sound is worse than the storm. Wet, crunchy, personal. You turn away. You can't. You won't. You do. You look. And now that image is burned into your soul like a brand. The leg comes off in 2 minutes. Merton tosses it aside like a log. One of the crew kicks it overboard. They cauterize the stump with a heated iron. The sizzle fills the air. You smell roasted meat and bile. The boy goes limp, mercifully. You're told later he survived, barely. But he'll never walk right again. The others say that's lucky. Last week, the surgeon tried removing a tooth and ended up taking the jaw. Still talks. Someone shrugs. Just sideways now. Merton doesn't stop. His clinic is the far end of the gun deck, behind a curtain that used to be a sail. Inside are jars filled with floating bits. A hand, an eye, maybe a monkey. You don't ask. His tools are rusty, blunt, and plentiful. You recognize one as a gardening trowel. He hums while he works. And here's the fun part. He's one of the good ones. Some pirate ships didn't have surgeons at all. Or worse, had ones who were also cooks, or barbers, or just enthusiastic amateurs with knives. The records are fuzzy. Some say ship surgeons were chosen based on how steady their hands looked while drunk. Others say it was about who screamed the least while cutting into live flesh. Historians still argue about that. But they all agree survival rates were bad. You sit with the boy that night. He's feverish, muttering about home, about a horse named Violet. You soak a cloth in rum and dab his forehead, pretending it helps. Crow stops by, drops a small wooden toy at the boy's side. It's carved like a tiny ship. Lost a leg once, Crow says, tapping his chest. Got it back though, in a dream. He walks away. You almost cry. The next morning, Merton sets up his little table again. There's another patient. Broken wrist, possible infection. No one's excited. One guy bites a stick in anticipation of treatment. Another man drinks half a bottle and just passes out beforehand. Smart. You're called to help, to hold someone down. You say yes, because by now you understand. Pain is the price of living out here, and you're not special. You're just next, later. While scrubbing blood from the deck with vinegar and a handful of moss, you catch your reflection in a puddle. Your face looks older, harder. You rub your arms and feel muscle where softness used to be. You laugh, bitterly. Somewhere, a man screams. Behind the curtain again, you keep scrubbing. You hear the whip long before you see it. A sharp crack slices through the humid morning air like lightning splitting a tree. You freeze mid-step on the deck, brush in hand, your stomach flipping. The crew stops too. For once, no one's joking, spitting or scratching themselves suggestively. Something's about to go very, very wrong. You edge toward the noise, pretending to coil rope. No one stops you, but no one helps either. The tension in the air is heavy enough to choke on, near the mainmast. 3 men are hauling a fourth onto a wooden grating bolted to the deck. He's thrashing, shouting, furious. His shirt's already been torn off, revealing a back speckled with scars and fresh bruises. His name's Baines, and he once saved you from falling overboard with one strong, meaty hand. Thief, someone mutters. Liar, another says. You catch the rest from a whispering clump of sailors. Baines was seen sneaking near the food stores, swiped a biscuit, or maybe it was salted pork. Or maybe he just looked at it too long. Doesn't matter. The captain declared it theft. And on this ship, theft means flogging. The bosun steps forward tall, silent, sleeves rolled. In one hand, he holds a cat o' nine tails, a whip with 9 knotted cords, each designed to rip skin from bone. It's not a metaphor. It's not for show. The crew forms a circle, not cheering, not jeering, just watching. A kind of grim ritual. No one dares look away. The first strike lands, crack. Baines's body arches. He doesn't scream. Not yet. You do. Not out loud. But inside something recoils. Something cracks. The second lash draws blood. The third peels it. By the fifth, Baines is howling. By the seventh, his voice is raw meat. By the 10th, he's silent. The bosun steps back. Orders are orders. He's not angry. He's not gleeful. He's just doing a job, and somehow, that's worse. Two men drag Baines away. You want to help. You don't. Your feet won't move. Later, you find him below deck, wrapped in dirty sailcloth, unconscious. A jug of rum at his side, flies already buzzing. You sit with him for a while, just so he's not alone. The crew doesn't talk much that night. Everyone keeps their eyes down. You catch one man spitting into his mug before drinking. Another cuts himself shaving and doesn't react. Crow joins you near the stern rail. He's eating a mango he swiped at port 2 weeks ago. It's more pit than fruit now. Rules keep us from eating each other, he says, chewing slowly. Barely. You nod. Because now you see it. Order doesn't come from loyalty here, or respect. It comes from fear. From pain. And while landfolk think pirates were wild, reckless, lawless, they weren't. Not really. There were codes, punishments, systems. Some say it was fairer than most navies. That captains were voted in, and loot split equally. But fairness looks different when your back's raw and your bones ache. You think of Baines's screams. You wonder how many times the Cat 09 has been cleaned. You hope the answer is once. You know it's probably never. And you wonder, quietly, if anyone ever whipped the captain. That night you can't sleep. Every creak of the ship sounds like a lash. Every splash of wave, a scream. You lie in your hammock, staring at the hull above you. The grain of the wood dances in the candlelight like twisted scars. You reach behind and run your hand over your own back, just to make sure it's still whole. For now then, in the dark, a whisper. He only stole it to share with the boy. You turn. Hobbs is sitting nearby, waiting his blade. You blink. He nods, and then he says, nothing else. Just sharpens the blade. Slowly. Rhythmically. As if waiting. You've started dreaming in waves. Not just of waves, but in them. You breathe salt. Your heartbeat sinks with the ship's groan. And when you wake, you're not sure if you're still on the ship or inside it. Maybe there's no difference anymore. The sea has a way of getting under your skin. Literally in some places. You scratch at a patch of your arm that's turning flaky and red. Sunburn? Fungus? The beginning of barnacle growth. You don't know. No one does. You ask old Fenwick, and he suggests boiling vinegar and a firm slap. Helpful. The days blur now. The sun rises, burns, sets. The night comes with cool air and unfamiliar stars. One sailor marks, quiet and always looking up, swears the stars are changing. That we're off course. You ask if he told the captain. He snorts. He don't listen to the sky no more. Just listens to what's inside. You don't ask what that means. Today, there's excitement. A chase. A merchant ship has been spotted on the horizon, sails fat with wind, heavy with cargo. The captain shouts commands with glee, and the crew moves like a hive of bees drunk on blood. You're pulled into the frenzy. Lines tighten, sails creak, and the wind slaps your face as you pull the rigging alongside 3 other men who might be drunk or just always like that. The ship lurches forward, and for the first time since you boarded, it feels alive. Not a coffin, not a prison, but a beast chasing prey. You're catching up fast. The mood changes. Everyone sharpens something. Knives, cutlasses, nails, tempers. Gunpowder barrels are rolled up from the hold. The cannons are loaded by men whose arms look like anchor chains, and eyes look like they've seen the devil. Drank with him, and then stole his wallet. You help pass cannonballs. They're heavier than you expect, and your fingers scream with. Every one drops near your foot, barely misses. You swallow your heart back down and keep moving. Then comes the moment. The captain raises a pistol. His hat, wide and ridiculous, flaps in the wind like a bird mid-suicide. Fire! The boom is deafening. Cannons belch smoke and death into the sea. You flinch, dropping to one knee. The merchant ship tries to turn. Too late, you hear a cheer. A scream, wood splinters. The other ship lists. You've hit her square in the side. Ready the hooks. This part isn't in storybooks. Because boarding a ship. It's not a daring leap and a flashy sword fight. It's chaos. Hooks fly. Ropes pull, bodies slam. You're shoved forward with the rest, blade in hand, not even sure which end to point. A man screams beside you as he takes a ball to the shoulder, red mist and shock on his face. You leap, miss, slam into the rail. Somehow climb aboard. Now you're on the enemy ship. But they're not enemies, not really. Just sailors, just people, and they look terrified. One tries to run. He's cut down. Another drops to his knees. A boot meets his jaw. You freeze. You can't swing. Can't stab. Just stand there as your crewmates move like sharks in a feeding frenzy. Then you see her. A woman, young, covered in soot and blood, but clearly alive. She's holding a broken lantern like a weapon. She sees you and waits. You raise your blade and lower it. Instead, you grab her arm and pull her toward the edge of the deck. She kicks, screams. You hiss, jump, and push her off. She vanishes beneath the waves. You hope she can swim. You hope she got away. You hope no one saw. Back on your own ship, the loot is piled high. Barrels of spices, chests of cloth, a few bottles of wine. One man is holding a gold earring he found in someone's ear. He laughs like you won a prize. Someone tosses you a bottle of brandy for your first blooding. They say, you nod but don't drink. You sit near the stern, watching the flames rise from the merchant ship. The sea reflects it, red and sickly. You see bodies bobbing. Some still move. The pirates ignore them. You close your eyes. Crow sits beside you, wordless, chewing on something that looks like meat. Probably isn't. Finally he says, feels different when it's not pretend, don't it? You nod. And somewhere below, someone plays a fiddle out of tune. The sea rocks the ship. Gentle now. As if nothing happened. By now, the sea has taken root in your blood. You don't remember the taste of bread that isn't hard as stone. You don't remember silence without waves. And you certainly don't remember what it felt like to sit somewhere anywhere without swaying. But today is different. Because today, the captain's in a mood. You can always tell. He storms the deck like a thundercloud, coat billowing, eyes twitching like he's been up for 3 nights arguing with ghosts. He mutters numbers. Under his breath, cargo counts, course headings, dates from years that probably haven't even happened yet. And then comes the order that twists every stomach on board. Time to bury the loot. Double quotes now. To you, that might sound exciting. Treasure, adventure, a map, maybe a palm tree. No doubt this is pirate bookkeeping, and it's about as glamorous as digging. A hole in wet cement while someone yells at you in 4 different dialects. You sail toward a speck of land. No name, just sand, some trees, and the promise of mosquitoes the size of parrots. The captain says it's marked in the old charts. You don't ask whose charts. You definitely don't ask how old. You're handed a shovel and pointed toward the beach. The treasure? It's real. Heavy chests filled with silver and trinkets, some still sticky with blood. A few rolled up carpets, possibly expensive, definitely suspicious. A pouch of teeth. Yes, teeth. Spanish gold, someone whispers. And French regrets. You dig, sweat blinds you. Sand invades everything, your boots, your teeth, your soul. The sun turns your skin into cooked leather. One guy passes out. Another drinks seawater on a dare and starts arguing with a crab. After 2 hours, the hole is ready. The chests are dropped in. A pig skull is placed on top. Why? No one explains. You ask if someone's drawing a map. Crow grins. In the captain's head. Oh, fantastic. The same head that talks to clouds and once tried to punish the moon for causing tides. You look at the captain. He's standing at the edge of the tree line, whispering to himself and drawing invisible lines in the air. Every so often he licks his thumb and writes something on a palm leaf. It blows away. He doesn't notice, you sigh. Some historians argue pirates rarely buried treasure. Most say it's a myth made up by writers and desperate sailors to give this life a shimmer of mystery. But the truth? Some did. Especially the mad ones, and the smart ones. Because a chest on land doesn't sink with your ship. Back aboard, you feel the weight of what you left behind. Literally. You're lighter by 20 chests and emotionally heavier by one existential crisis. The crew celebrates. Not because they trust the treasure will be found again, but because they didn't bury each other with it. There's rum, a fire, a song about a captain who married a coconut. Possibly autobiographical. You sit with a map someone claims they copied when the captain wasn't looking. It's scribbles and a drawing of what might be a monkey or an angel. Hard to tell. Insurance, the man says, tapping the parchment. In case the old man forgets. You nod. Then you hear the sound, soft, wet, rhythmic. Digging. You turn. Near the bow, in the dark, someone's shoveling into a crate. You squint. It's the quartermaster. He doesn't see you. Just keeps burying something. Not treasure. Books. Old books, bound in leather. One with a clasp shaped like a claw. Another with no title, just a symbol that makes your stomach tighten. You blink. And then he's gone, you tell Crow. He laughs. Some treasure ain't meant for spending. You don't sleep well that night. Your dreams are full of sand and whispers. One word repeated in a voice you don't recognize. Remember. You wake before dawn, heart hammering, mouth dry. Outside, the sea is calm. Too calm. And the island? Gone. You try to convince yourself the island was a dream. You really do, but the blisters on your hands say otherwise. So does the sand in your boots. So does the pit in your stomach that's been growing ever since you noticed the map. The one the crewman claimed a copy has vanished. That no one talks about it. Not the island. Not the gold. Not the pig skull. It's as if it never happened. Instead, the ship turns inland, toward an estuary thick with mist and silence. You've been told there's a meeting, though no one says with whom. Or what, only that you'll want to stay below. That never means anything good, but curiosity, like fleas, thrives aboard pirate ships. So you find yourself perched behind a stack of barrels, peeking through a gap in the deck planks, just as the longboat returns. And that's when you see him. Tall, pale, hair black as burnt rope, clothes stitched from silks too fine for this world, or any honest world, really. He's flanked by two others, both masked, carrying a chest so heavy their knees tremble. Your crew parts like smoke. No one meets his eyes. He doesn't speak. Just stares. And then the captain, your captain, loud and swaggering and utterly unkillable, bows. Deep, you hear whispers later. He's a broker, a dealer in liquid history. Some say he trades in shipwrecks, buys the story before it sinks. Others say he's the reason storms happen where no storm should. No one uses his name. But Crow, one night, leans close and murmurs. He collects the pieces we leave behind. You. Don't ask what that means. The deal is done quickly. A few sacks of coins disappear. A small iron box is handed over in return. The masked men vanish below deck. The pale man doesn't even blink. When he finally leaves, the crew breathes again, but the air has changed. Colder. Heavier. That night, a fight breaks out. Two men argue over a knife. It escalates quickly. You try to step in. Too late. One man's throat opens like a door. He collapses without a sound. There's no burial. No prayer. Just a quiet toss overboard. He sinks like the rest. You don't even know his name. The next day, things are quieter. Not solemn, just still. Superstitions begin to crawl from the cracks. Salt is sprinkled across the deck. A dead chicken is hung in the rigging. A rat is shaved and painted blue. You ask why? To confuse the devil, someone says. He's got a good memory, but he's colorblind. Makes sense. In pirate logic. Then comes the fog. Thick, endless. It swallows the world. Navigation becomes a guessing game. The compass spins. The stars are gone. The water stills like it's waiting. The captain walks the deck more now, talking to himself, staring into the white nothing. At one point, he screams loud, animal, like something was just taken from him. No one asks. You notice small changes, wood warps, iron rusts overnight. The sails sag even in wind. Something knocks from inside the hull, not hard, not angry. Just politely. You ask Crow if we're cursed. He smiles all gums. Not cursed, he says, just remembered. You don't like the way he says it. One morning, a man's found in the crow's nest. Dead, no wound. Just wide-eyed, mouth open, as if something crawled in and whispered him still. The quartermaster orders the spot. Burn. The mast catches fire. You spend the next 3 hours stamping it out. No one sleeps much after that. Eyes twitch. Nails tap. The goat tries to climb the rigging. And the iron box? Still locked, still untouched. But everyone knows it's there. It hums at night. Faint. Like music you almost recognize. You ask what's inside. Someone answers with one word. Debt and nothing else. The fog thickens. And the ship creaks like it's remembering old sins. The fog finally lifts, but only after 3 days of slow madness. You think it's been 3 days anyway. Time stretches oddly at sea. It curls around fatigue and hunger like old rope. Your sense of hours, even minutes, frays. When the sun finally claws its way through the mist, the crew stumbles into it like prisoners freed from a dungeon. Eyes squint, skin peels. A few fall to their knees and kiss the deck, which is frankly disturbing because the deck is home to at least 4 colonies of fungus and a goat that poops with defiant eye. Contact. The captain says nothing. He just stares into the horizon. Lips cracked, one hand clenched around the hilt of his cutlass like it might float away. You try to get back to normal. Which, in pirate terms, means cleaning weapons, dodging insults, and hoping nothing hatches in your boots. But things aren't normal. The iron box is gone. You find this out from Crow, who slides up beside you like a particularly theatrical ghost. He leans in close, smells like fish and secrets, and whispers, "It ain't there no more." What isn't? He just grins. Exactly. That night, the whispers start real ones. Not just below-deck gossip. Not just the occasional angry sleep mumbling. Voices, strange and low, speaking languages no one aboard claims to know. Sometimes they seem to float up from the bilge. Sometimes they echo from the rigging, high above where no one's posted. One man, Benny, who collects rats and names them after old lovers, claims the whispers told him to swallow the sky. He tries. The captain has him tied to the mast and mutters something that ends in again. The crew's edge is sharpening. There are more fights, not over gold, not even over rum, just glances. Footsteps, dreams. Yes, dreams. The men begin waking. In unison, gasping, some scream, some just sob. All say the same thing. They dreamed of drowning. But not in water. In voices. The cook boils seawater for tea and claims it remembers too much. The quartermaster starts hanging bones above doorways. No one questions it. You find a note under your hammock. Written in charcoal. 2 words. Dig deeper. You burn it, mostly for warmth, but also because you don't like how it smelled. 1 night, while you're on watch, the sea goes mirror still. No wind, no sound. The stars feel too close. And then, without warning, the ship stops. Not slows. Stops like it's hit an invisible wall. Ropes go slack. The sails hang limp. The mast groans, and then, from the dark beneath the ship, comes a knock dot, just one. Clear, hollow, familiar. The men freeze. No one breathes. Then a second knock dot, faster this time, like something eager. The crew scatters. Some hide, some pray. Some laugh hysterically and start polishing boots. You lean over the rail, and for just a second you see it. Hand, pale, webbed, sliding across the water's surface like a knife through silk. Not swimming, just waiting. Then it's gone. You don't sleep. The next morning, the wind returns like nothing happened. Except now. There are footprints on the deck. Bare, damp, leading from the mast to the captain's quarters. Only one set. The captain never comes out that day. Crow takes over briefly. No one questions it. The men keep working, but slower now. Quieter. The ship feels different. It listens more than it creaks. And from the shadows near the hold, you catch glimpses of something small moving. Not a rat. Not a cat. Something else. You try to follow once, but the trail ends near the iron nails in the planks, which now hum if you press your ear to them. You stop doing that. Historians sometimes speak of the madness of the deep, usually in footnotes or cautionary tales. Sailors lost in fog. Crews who threw themselves overboard chasing whispers, but they never quite explain why. They don't mention the feeling that the ocean isn't empty, just very, very full. And bored. That night, Crow tells a story about a ship swallowed by a whale the size of a continent. The crew lived in its stomach for 7 years, growing crops on its ribs. You laugh. He doesn't. You go to bed with that image stuck in your mind, roots growing through bones, sunlight filtered through meat. And as you drift asleep, you hear the whisper again. Closer now. Remember. You're woken by the smell of honey. Which is frankly the most suspicious thing imaginable aboard a 17th century pirate ship. There's no honey here, no bees, nothing sweet, unless you count fermented fruit, and even that's generous. You sit up slowly. The air is thick, golden, almost humming, like it's holding its breath. And for the first time in weeks, the ship is silent. No boots stomping, no creaking wood, no distant argument about who stole whose socks. Just silence. You climb to the main deck, alone. The sky is gold, not the warm kind. The wrong kind. Too smooth, too perfect. Like someone painted it on and forgot to add clouds. The sea is the same. Shimmering, still, unnervingly glassy. You're not moving, not drifting, not rocking. Just frozen. Then you see the others, standing still. All of them. Every crew member, from the quartermaster to old Fenwick, frozen mid-motion like figures in wax, eyes open, some mid-step. One man holds a cup of rum halfway to his lips. You wave a hand in front of Crow's face. Nothing. No breath. No blink. You're the only one moving. You try to speak. Your voice sounds muffled, wrong, like shouting underwater with your ears full of cotton. And then you hear the whispers, louder now, flowing across the deck like wind made of breath. They circle you, wrap around your thoughts. You try to step back and realize your foot is stuck. You look down. Your boot has begun to sink into the deck, like the wood is melting beneath you. Or maybe absorbing. You yank hard and stumble backward, landing near the mainmast. It feels hot. And then you see the door. There should be no door there. It wasn't there yesterday. It's small. Iron, bolted into the mast itself. No handle. Just a keyhole and a symbol carved above it. A spiral swallowing itself. You blink. The key is already in your hand. You don't remember picking it up. You open the door. Inside, darkness, not shadows, absence. A void waiting. You step through. And the ship is gone. Now you're falling not down, but inward, through memory, through voices, through every scream you didn't scream during every storm, every story whispered in rum haze, every nightmare you buried under sweat and salt. And suddenly, you're back, deck beneath you, wind in your face. Crew shouting dot like nothing happened. But something has happened. The others don't seem to notice. They laugh, shout, eat, argue, but you feel different. Your fingers tingle. Your eyes catch movements too fast, too quiet, too impossible dot, and every time you close your eyes, you see the spiral. That night, you hear singing from the crow's nest dot soft. Childlike, you climb up slowly, and there, curled like a cat, is Benny dot dead dot eyes open. Smiling, clutched in his hand, a wooden toy ship, carved with a spiral. You take it. You don't know why. You just do dot back in your hammock. You stare at the toy. You turn it over. Beneath the base, carved, in letters too fine for pirate hands, debt paid. You don't sleep. You just wait for the sky to shift again dot. Because now you know something the others don't. This ship doesn't sail the sea dot, it feeds on it. It starts raining teeth. You're not exaggerating dot, real. Human teeth, yellowed, cracked, some with fillings of gold thudding against the deck like a broken hailstorm. Dozens of them, hundreds. They bounce, scatter, rattle in the rigging. One lands in your collar. You scream. A high, involuntary sound that would embarrass past you, pre-pirate you. But now it's just instinct. The crew rushes out, blinking in disbelief. Hobbs catches one, sniffs it, then tosses it overboard. British molars, he mutters. Late 1500s. How does he know that? No one asks dot, no one ever asks anymore. The storm comes next, sharp and sudden. Rain stings your skin like needles. The wind howls names and voices you almost recognize. Almost. You drop the rigging rope you were tying and stare into the clouds. They're shaped like faces. Some scream. Some smile. Some just watch. The captain finally emerges from his quarters, barefoot, shirtless, his eyes swollen and bloodshot. We crossed the line, he mutters. Didn't pay the toll. Then he laughs. A strange, high-pitched bark dot, and begins climbing the mast dot. No one follows. Because they're too busy with the real problem. The sea is rising. But the ship isn't dot. It's like the waters decided to ignore physics. The waves tower above the ship, curling inwards but never falling. A dome, a wall. A warning dot then. The smell hits. Copper and rot and the faint scent of burnt cinnamon. Everyone gags. Fenwick falls to his knees and begins praying to something that sounds suspiciously like a kitchen utensil. You grab a bucket and start bailing reflexively, even though the ship isn't sinking. It's just dot dot dot. Being surrounded dot, and then the voices. Return. Clear this time dot, unified, double quotes you, took what was buried. Your blood freezes. A hand bursts through the deck, slimy, gray, with too many knuckles, and grabs your ankle. You shriek, kick, scramble backward. The wood splits. A face peers through, not. Alive dot, not dead. Something between a sailor. Old uniform, eyeless, waterlogged dot. It opens its mouth. A stream of sand pours out. The crew loses it. Swords are drawn. Shots fired. One man jumps overboard. Another lights himself on fire and screams. I am my own beacon. It's chaos dot, and then like a stage curtain falling silence. The sea drops. The sky clears. The deck perfectly intact. No sand, no cracks. No hand. Only the bucket, rolling in a slow circle. You're curled behind the barrel. Shaking dot, Crow sits beside you. You saw him, didn't you? He says quietly. You nod. They always come once you take more than you give. You remember the island, the iron box, the whispered debt paid. You remember the faces in the fog, and you understand. This isn't about gold. Not really dot, it's about weight, memory, history dot. The sea doesn't forget. It just dot dot waits dot, and every pirate knows. There's no such thing as free plunder. That night, you help tie down the sails. The stars have returned, but they look dot dot wrong. Too sharp. Too bright. The constellations aren't where they used to be. Marks, the quiet stargazer, mutters, "We're not where we were." You ask where we are now. He doesn't answer, just points upward, one of the stars. Winks. You blink. No, it blinks back. Go below deck. Crow hands you a cup. What's this? Chamomile. You sip. It tastes like sawdust and old teeth, but it calms you. Because somehow, that's the most normal thing that's happened all day. The crew has stopped calling it the sea. Now it's just her. No one says why. No one says who started it. But now, when the wind picks up or the tide shifts strange, someone always mutters, "She's stirring," or "She's not." Happy today. You catch yourself saying it too. The air's colder, though the sky is clear. The wood of this ship groans like a thing straining against its own bones. You've stopped counting the days. The horizon never changes, just more water. In every direction, like you're sailing on a map someone forgot to draw an edge to. Then, around dusk, the bell rings, not the ship's bell. The other one. It comes from the deep. The sound is distant but unmistakable, heavy, low, wet. Like someone tolling a cathedral bell from the bottom of a well. It rings once. The crew freezes. A man drops a spoon. Another quietly walks into the hold and doesn't come back. No one stops him. You ask Crow what it means. He's lighting a candle with fingers that shake. Means she remembers something. Or someone. Someone like who? He looks at you. Blinks. Like us. That night, a foghorn blows in the distance. You all rush to the port side, and sure enough, there it is. A ship. Massive, black sails. Moving silent through the water. But there's no sound of crew. No lanterns. No laughter. No life. You grab a spyglass. Look close. No crew. No sails moving in the wind. It's gliding. Like a feather sliding across ice. The figurehead is shaped like a screaming face. You lower the glass. No one speaks. Marks whispers. It's her memory. You ask what that means, but Marks just keeps staring, eyes watering. She sails alone now, like a scar. The ghost ship, because that's the only word anyone dares use, passes behind you. Never slows. Never veers. Never even ripples the water. Then it's gone. No one eats that night. You stay awake in your hammock, listening. Waiting for the bell again. And sure enough, just before dawn, it tolls again. Twice. This time you wake screaming. You're not alone. Half the crew bolts upright, breathless. You all dreamed the same thing. The bottom, you remember sinking. Not drowning, sinking. Falling past bones and anchors and forgotten songs. Past cities buried in coral. Past statues with no eyes. And then a throne. Empty. Waiting. You tell Crow. He nods. She's asking who will sit next. You stare at him. What is she? He shrugs. History, wrath, memory, ocean, mother, lover, jailer. Take your pick. Then he adds, but if she offers you a deal, say no. How would she offer me a deal? He doesn't answer, just walks away. At midday, the wind changes again. The smell hits you first. Not salt, not rot. Smoke. You climb the rigging, and there in the far distance, land, real land, black cliffs. Dense jungle, no birds. The captain says simply, there. And the ship turns. No argument. No discussion. Because you all know what's on that island. Not gold. Not food. The last part of the debt. You reach the island just before dusk. It rises like a jaw from the sea. Black rock. Steep cliffs, trees so dense they look stitched together. No beach, no harbor, no welcome. Just a ragged cleft in the cliff face, wide enough for a single skiff. Captain stands at the prow, still barefoot, still shirtless. His eyes are closed. His lips move silently, as if reciting something learned long ago, something not meant to be remembered. He doesn't order volunteers. He doesn't need to. You, Crow, the quartermaster, and two others, Marks and a boy called Tally, you row ashore. Without a word. The water's thick, resistant, like rowing through syrup. Every stroke echoes strangely, as though the ocean has grown cavernous beneath you. You reach the crack in the rock. It's darker than night. The skiff scrapes stone as you slide inside, and the air shifts. It's cold. Instantly, you light a lantern. It sputters, then steadies. The passage leads downward. Always downward. The stone walls glisten. Not with moisture, something older. Polished by hands long gone. And then the cave opens. Wide, silent, filled with statues. Hundreds, all pirates. Every one different. Some you recognize from old paintings. Some from stories. Some you saw yesterday on your own ship. Crow gasps beside you. She keeps them. The statues are too lifelike. You reach out to touch one. Its eye cracked open. It blinks. You fall back. Crow helps you up, but says nothing. At the center of the cavern stands a stone throne. Empty. Carved from coral and bone. Covered in barnacles. Captain is already walking toward it. He turns once. Looks at you all. His voice is calm, flat. This is the cost. You try to speak. He shakes his head. I took more than I gave. She waited. Now she takes. Then he sits. And the sea begins to rise inside the cavern. Not flooding. Rising from the walls. From the floor. From the statues' mouths. The captain breathes out. His body begins to harden. Not turn to stone. To salt. First his hands. Then his arms. His chest. He never cries out. Just watches you with eyes that gleam weightly until the salt reaches them too. Becomes a statue. And the throne accepts him. The salt recedes. The cave stills. Marks whispers, "It's done." But Crow shakes his head. "No," he says softly. "We brought him here. You don't remember the row back. Only the quiet. Only the stillness of the water. Back aboard. The crew watches your faces as you climb over the rail. And in that silence, they understand that night there's no music, no rum. Just the creak of wood. The hush of wind. You sit on the deck. Crow beside you. Will she come for us next? You ask. He shrugs. She always does. In time, you watch the stars. They've shifted again. They spell nothing you can read, but they see you. You feel it. And so, as the night deepens, you close your eyes and drift. Weightless. Dremless. At last, the final 200 words. The wind softens now. Even the waves seem quieter, as if the sea itself is gently exhaling, satisfied. The sails no longer strain. The ropes no longer groan. The deck beneath you rocks with a motion so subtle, it feels like a heartbeat. The kind you only notice when you're finally still. You let your thoughts go. Let the cold salt air fade into warmth. The ship is far from land, far from sound. It sails now not on water, but through memory. Through a story so old it hums. Crow snores beside you, barely audible. Somewhere below, the goat coughs gently. And the stars, those impossible stars, begin to blur, their edges softening, their brightness folding inward like a candle winding down. You've made it through. For now. She sleeps again, and so will you. You breathe deep. One last time. In fear, but in peace, because the sea keeps her promises. Even the terrible ones. And tonight, she gives you mercy. Ancient memories closed. Tonight is yours. Good night.